So this is the 18th and the final lecture for the subject Communication English, and in this video we'll be learning about writing a technical proposal. So what is a technical proposal basically? A proposal is an offer or bid to do a certain project for someone. So if you want to have a project offered by a certain company, then you have to submit a document so that it includes all the things such as the technical background, the recommendations, result of surveys, information about feasibility, the time that you are going to take, the budget estimation, and so on. It is basically asking the audience, or the audience basically here means the person who are reading your proposal. It asks the audience to approve, fund, or grant permission to do the proposed project. It should contain information to enable the audience whether to decide on approval of a certain project. So the parts of the technical proposal, as you can see here, the first thing is the introduction, the second thing is the background on the problem, opportunity or situation, the third thing are the benefits and feasibility of the proposed project, the fourth thing is the description of the proposed work or the results of the project, fifth thing are the method, procedure, and the theory. The sixth thing is the schedule. Seventh thing, cost and resources required. Eighth thing is the conclusions. Last but not the least, the special project specific sections. So we will delve into these one by one. So the introduction. In this portion, you have to plan the introduction to your proposal quite carefully. So you have to make sure it does all of the following things that we're going to discuss about, but not necessarily in this particular order that apply to your particular proposal. So the first things that should be included in your proposal or the introduction of your proposal is you have to indicate that the content of the memo is a proposal for the specific project. So basically you have to let the readers know that the thing that they are going to read is a proposal. So you have also to develop at least one brief motivating statement that will encourage the recipient to read on and to consider approving the project, especially if it is an unsolicited or competitive proposal. For example, if a project is open for proposals or for tenders, then many of the companies send their proposals, right? So you have to start it with at least one motivating uh, aspect so that they might go on and read it. So also you have to give an overview of the contents of the proposal. So as we talked about it earlier in the reports as well, most of the higher officials do not actually have the time to read all of the things, so they might just skip through it or just skim the project. So you have to place the introduction in such a way that it provides an overview or summarizes all the contents of the proposal, that the audience should know what he or she or they are going to read while reading your proposal. So the next important thing is the background on the problem, opportunity, or situation. Often occurring just after the introduction, the background section discusses what has brought about the need for the project, what problem, what opportunity exists for improving things, what the basic situation is. I don't think I need to explain more on this. While the named audience of the proposal may know the problem very well, writing the background section is quite useful in demonstrating your particular view of the problem. Also, if the proposal is unsolicited, a background section is almost a requirement. You'll probably need to convince the audience that the problem or opportunity exists and that it should be addressed. So it is basically talking about a couple of things. The first thing, for example, if there is a road to be reconstructed and the government is basically opening a tender calling for different companies who wants the project to be handed to them. So the problem is quite clear, right? The roads are not proper and it needs to be addressed, it needs to be constructed. But in that case also, you may have to write the background or the situation so that your writing or the appeal in your writing may sorry, the process of your writing, the writing of yours or your description of the situation might appeal to the project providers or the audience. And if it is unsolicited, for example, if you are made to do I don't know, an academic project of some kind, then the first step or the first presentation you have to do is by creating a proposal report. So in that case, you select the title of the project by yourself, the domain of the project by yourself, and you have to explain to your probable supervisors or the teachers or the referees, as you can say it, or the evaluators or the jury or the judges, that the particular problem exists, and taken the you have taken the burden, or you have taken it as an opportunity so that you can solve this problem. That is called unsolicited, where the problem statement is not defined. So the next things are the benefits and the feasibility of the proposed project. Benefits means if they provide the project to you, or if the project under the certain title that you propose provide some actual benefits or not, and if it is feasible or not. You cannot be asking Nepal government for a project to make a rocket, because it is not feasible, right? You cannot make a spacecraft, but you can make something like an agricultural equipment or agricultural machinery or tool. So it has to be feasible. Most proposals briefly discuss the advantages or benefits of completing the proposed project. This acts as a type of argument in favor of approving the project. Also, some proposals discuss the likelihood of the project's success. As I told earlier, if you ask the Nepal government for fund that you want to build a spacecraft, then it is not feasible, not even economically. So you might not get the funds or the required resources to continue into that project. But if you make a quite good proposal, economically feasible proposal, for example, if you ask the Nepal government for a grant of about rupees Nepalese 1 lakh, so that you create an instrument or a machine that can be used by the farmers in Nepal's agricultural fields, then you might be provided with the uh, required resources. In an unsolicited proposal, again, unsolicited means there is no such thing as a company calling for a project. There is no company calling for a project. It is just basically your idea. You are trying to sell your idea. In an unsolicited proposal, this section is especially important because you are trying to sell the audience on the project. The next thing are the description of the proposed work. Most proposals must describe the finished product of the proposed product project. So you pitch a proposal before starting the project itself, but you cannot make false or hypothetical assumptions. You have to talk about what a finished product might look like. In technical writing course, that means describing the written document you propose to write, its audience and purpose, providing an outline and discussing such things as its length, graphics, binding and so forth. In the scenario you define, there may be other work such as conducting training or seminars or providing an ongoing service. At this early stage, you might not know all that it will take to complete your project, but you should at least have an idea of some of the steps required. So for example, if you are proposing a project of making an machinery, a pump set, improved solar pump set for the agricultural fields of Nepal, then all you have to do is you have to think about how the project might look after it is finished. So you have to imagine or visualize that you have already made a solar pump, and you have to go reverse from that. So you have to list all the equipments that you might use. You have to list all the processes. For example, you might use welding or lathe operations or anything. and you have to also include all the costs and the time associated to it. So it is quite sure that you will not know how long it will take for sure for exact, but you need to have a crude estimate about it. So after that, you need to include the method, procedure, and theory. In some proposals, you need to explain how you will go about completing the proposed work, which is called the method. So it is not necessary in all the cases, but some project, some ambitious project might require it as well. This acts as an additional persuasive element. It shows the audience that you have a sound, thoughtful approach to the project. Exactly, which means that the audience, after looking at it, can be assured that this person who is trying to sell this project to us is actually done some homework or actually done some work mentally, or he has created a blueprint or a roadmap or a proper foolproof, a bulletproof plan to do certain thing. Also, it serves to demonstrate that you have the knowledge of the field to complete the project. You know that well. The next thing, the next important things are the schedule. Most proposals contain a section that shows not only the projected completion date but also the key milestones of the project. For example, if you are trying to do a project, then it might include some things like the initiation of the project, the the proposal. The second things that might include is like market study for acquiring or buying the things that you need. The next things might include the assembly in the lab. The fourth thing might include the testing. So those are the key milestones of the project. And if you include that in your schedule, then it persuades the audience more. If you are doing a large project spreading over many months, the timeline would also show dates on which you would deliver progress reports. So for example, while I was a student, uh, we had to do a semester project, like in every semester we have to do a project, and in the schedule section of that we had to include certain things such as the first presentation, the second progress report or something like that, the final report or the midterm report. So basically you have to show the progress reports, and also you have to include that in your schedule. If you cannot cite specific dates, cite amounts of time for each phase or project. So yeah, it's another important thing, because uh, some things might be delayed not due to your incompetence but due to the incompetence of other persons. For example, if you are planning to do the, I don't know, market study of some materials that you might need to require your solar based water pump set, but then lockdown happens, then you could just crudely estimate. You can also research online for the equipment prices and the availability of the equipment by calling the vendors rather than visiting their actual shops. But if certain situations occur, then you can provide an estimate of like about 3 months rather than just including a date like 17th April or something. The other things are the cost and resources required. Most proposals also contain a section detailing the cost of the project, whether internal or external. With external projects, you may need to list your hourly rates, projected hours, cost of the equipment and supplies, and so forth, and then calculate the total cost to complete the project. Internal projects, of course, are not free, so you should still the project cost, hours you will need to complete the project, equipment and supply you will be using, assistance from other people in the organization, and so on. So I think I don't need to elaborate on this basically. The other things are the conclusion. The final paragraph of the section of the proposal should bring the readers back to a focus on positive aspects of the project. In this final section, you can urge them to contact you to work out the details of the project, remind them of the benefits of doing the project. Maybe make one last argument for you or your organization at the right choice for the project, as the right choice for the project. So you are basically summing up everything in your conclusion. The last but not the least, the special project specific sections. Remember that the preceding sections are typical or common in written proposals, but not absolute requirements. This may or may not be included. Always ask yourselves what else might your audience need to understand the project, the need for it, the benefits arising from it, your role in it, and your qualifications to do it. What else do they need to see in order to approve the project and approve you to do it? So these are basically the appendices that you need to add in extra to your proposal report. So this is the website from Open Oregon that I consulted for writing technical writing or the technical proposals. You can also check it out in the internet. So this was basically it, and after this lecture we complete the communication English course for the first semester, and I hope you learned a lot during the course, because I certainly did. And if you have some problems, you can always ask me. I'm always here for you guys. And for the reading comprehension and the trade related terminologies, I have clicked the pictures and sent them to your messenger group. You can read that from here there, because it is not quite possible to make videos on those things. So prepare well for the exams, and you can ask me always if you have some questions. So thank you.